What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your fourth stimulus check update, third stimulus check update, as well as daily news report. Tomorrow is going to be the clearing date of the fourth wave of the third stimulus check package, as most of the VA who is with direct deposit will be receiving their money tomorrow if you haven't received it yet today. This is directly from the IRS. This is the fourth wave of direct deposits for the $1,400 third stimulus check. And this is really could be the last wave. It seems like about 90% or more of people that are receiving the third stimulus check have received it at this point, or it is in the mail. Tomorrow will be the pay date for the VA and also possibly some other people that might still be on direct deposit. Anybody else at this point, it's more and more likely that you will be receiving it in the mail. And the mail seems to be getting slower and slower, if that's a possibility. As I'm seeing your guys' comments that even people from March 26th are still waiting for their paper check in the mail. It seems like the average of people that are waiting for their check in the mail and they have a date from the IRS Get My Payment tool is about 10 days. So if you are April 1st, you might expect it on April 10th or 11th on average. A little bit faster for some people, a little bit slower for some other people, but that is the most recent update. The IRS is also struggling to get out tax refunds and process tax returns as they are still at this point millions of people and tax returns behind. And I've seen your guys' comments that many people are been waiting months for their tax refund. Some people seem to get it quick. Some people it seems to take forever. There is besides the IRS Get My Payment tool for stimulus checks, there's also an IRS Get My Refund tool. So again, you can check that as well as if you're waiting on your third stimulus check. For both tools, we learned a new trick in the last week or so that you might need to format your address either with all capitals. That seemed to be the number one trick that people going from a status unavailable or no information to getting the IRS Get My Payment tool to actually give them the information. Seems all along we just had to either put the address in all capitals or you have to format your address differently. You may have to write out the word drive if you're on a drive instead of DR, or street instead of street. Or the best way is to see if you have any mail recently from the IRS, even if it's from a year ago, and see how they have your address worded and see how they have it all capitals or not, and write it in exact match form. So if they have a few capitals or a few non-capitals, write it exactly the way the IRS has it. And that is the most likely way to get the information from the IRS Get My Payment tool or the IRS Get My Refund tool. Also, if you can, hit the like button for me. It really helps out our channel and shows YouTube that you like the content, and that might make YouTube show our videos to other people looking for similar content. Authorities in Egypt have seized the ship, the Ever Given, saying its owners owe nearly $1 billion for the Suez Canal traffic jam. So they have seized the boat with all the cargo on there and say that they owe almost $1 billion with a B dollars. As you can see here, Egypt has seized the ship named the Ever Given over its owner's, quote, failure to pay an amount of $900 million. The state-run news outlet reported that amount represents the total compensation that Egypt says it is owed for the 6-day blockage of the Suez Canal, including lost revenue from ships that ordinarily would have traveled through the canal during that time, as well as costs for damages to the crucial waterway and to the equipment and labor in the incident. There was a ruling that allowed Egypt to seize the ship, the Ever Given, and was issued by a court in Islamia, a city on the west bank of the canal, according to a website. The Suez Canal Authority, which made the request, noted that Egypt's maritime trade law allows the, quote, precautionary seizure of vessels that have outstanding debts, including failure to pay the costs from an accident. Egyptian authorities said, quote, the vessel will remain here until investigations are complete and compensation is paid. The minute they agree to the compensation, the vessel will be allowed to move. President Biden made a huge announcement today saying that the U.S. will withdraw all of the United States troops on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, this September 11th, 2021. As you can see here, President Biden will withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan by September 11th, 2021, the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attack that led to the longest war in American history. Two congressional aides briefed on the plan confirmed the news to The Hill. A senior administration officer later told reporters that the U.S. will begin an orderly drawdown of the remaining forces before May 1st and plan to have all U.S. troops out of the country before the 20th anniversary of 9/11. The White House official said, quote, "We judge the threat against the homeland now emanating from Afghanistan to be at a level that we can address it without a persistent military footprint in the country and without remaining at war with the Taliban." The plan, which Biden is expected to formally announce tomorrow on Wednesday, pushes back a May withdrawal deadline that was set in a deal with them by the Trump administration last year. Now, even though that happened underneath former President Donald Trump and the Trump administration, President Biden is receiving a lot of backlash from this from both Democrats and Republicans. Republican backlash was swift, with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell demanding Biden explain publicly why he's, quote, "abandoning our partners and retreating in the face of the Taliban." Quote, "Precipitously withdrawing U.S. forces from Afghanistan is a grave mistake. It is retreat in the face of an enemy that has not yet been vanquished and an abdication of American leadership," Mitch McConnell said on the Senate floor. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham called it a, quote, "disaster in the making and dumber than dirt and devilishly dangerous." There were some Democrats who warned that it could be viewed as abandoning the mission, particularly women and progress made on human and civil rights. Senator Jeanne Shaheen, Democrat from New Hampshire, a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, said that she was, quote, "very disappointed by Biden's decision." She says the U.S. has sacrificed too much to bring stability to Afghanistan to leave without verifiable assurances of a secure future. Let me know your thoughts because, man, it's been 20 years, and I feel like at this point, if we don't withdraw, remember President Trump is the one who initiated that. I feel like if we don't withdraw now, then we could be there forever. I mean, 20 years is a long, long time. And we know that they have captured the person who, you know, initiated that or started that. So I don't know. My personal thoughts are I think it's probably the right time. It's been 20 years. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. You may have a different opinion, and that's totally okay. The Senate had a hearing today on the student loan forgiveness as the Democrats are deciding whether or not they should cancel $10,000 of student loan forgiveness or $50,000 of student loan forgiveness or somewhere in between. They're also trying to decide if they're going to do this through presidential executive order or possibly include it in the infrastructure package, which ultimately probably has the same result. The executive order would make it faster, but the Democrats are likely going to pass the infrastructure/stimulus package without Republican support. So I really don't. I don't know if it makes a big difference whether or not they include it in the package. I personally think they should and they probably will do this through executive order because this won't add additional money to the infrastructure package. This will simply be signed by the president and forgiven simply through a presidential executive order. Similar to how President Trump did the executive order for $300 per week for 6 weeks through the for the unemployment boost he did before the November elections. I personally thought he should have did it again for a stimulus check for everybody, not just the unemployment checks of $300 per week. But alas, he didn't. President Trump did the $300 per week unemployment boost for 6 weeks, and I think that we're going to see President Biden do an executive order for probably $10,000 at least of student loan forgiveness in the near future. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says, I'm proud to work side by side with Senator Elizabeth Warren for President Biden to cancel student debt by presidential executive action. It's time to act now.
Leader Schumer and I have urged President Biden to address this economic problem by using his existing authority to cancel $50,000 in student debt for each borrower. New data I obtained from the Education Department reveals the benefits of debt cancellation. The data show that if we cancel $50,000 in student loan debt, 36 million borrowers would be completely relieved of their debt burdens. A significant number of these borrowers who would finally be free of student loan debt, 3.1 million people, have already been carrying their debt burden for over 20 years. It's time to act now. Republican and Democratic presidents have a long history of using their statutory authority to cancel student loan debt. President Obama used this authority to cancel all debt for tens of thousands of students, and President Trump used this authority to cancel some debt, accrued interest, for 37 million federal borrowers. Canceling $50,000 in student loan debt would also help close the black-white wealth gap among borrowers by 25 points. For Latinos, the gap would close by 27 points. This is the single most powerful executive action President Biden could take to advance racial equity and give everyone in America a chance to build a real future.
I personally think this opens the door to more types of debt forgiveness. I actually seen an interesting comment from somebody. Sorry, I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about how the government can do IRS debt forgiveness, tax debt forgiveness that you can owe. They can simply do that through an executive order as well because it's debt owed to the government. So they simply sign on the dotted line. There's no need to print money. It's just debt forgiven. They can also do this with mortgage debt up to $10,000 or more also because the government actually owns the majority of mortgage debt through the mortgage-backed programs that the government is in charge of, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So they can do IRS debt forgiveness or mortgage debt forgiveness, $10,000 to $50,000 after they do this student loan debt forgiveness simply through presidential executive orders. They could do other types of debt forgiveness such as medical debt forgiveness or credit card debt forgiveness through a stimulus package. That would be a little different. They most likely couldn't do that through executive order, although that's up for debate. Executive orders are a very, very tricky situation. For example, in the past, President Trump was able to do a $300 per week stimulus unemployment boost money, which were literally $300 checks per week for 6 weeks. So $1,800 of extra stimulus money that he did through executive order. But he didn't do an executive order for a stimulus check to everybody else that wasn't on unemployment. I thought that he was going to do this before the election. I thought it would really give him that extra boost that he probably needed to maybe make the election a lot closer, maybe even eke it out. But he never ended up doing it. But he did do it for the unemployment money. I kind of think now that maybe he didn't do it for the stimulus checks, but he did it for the unemployment checks because FEMA, that money that they used from the disaster relief fund, simply ran out of money. And that's why it went for 6 weeks and no less and no more. And they did deplete the funds from the disaster relief fund. I almost wonder if maybe he was thinking about doing another one for a stimulus check, but there was no money left in the disaster relief fund. Now they could have maybe finagled taking the money from a different fund in the government. All these different funds that they have, disaster relief fund and stimulus checks program, and they print money for everything, and they have the National Defense Fund. They have all sorts of different bank accounts really that the government controls. They did that with the disaster relief fund for the $1,800 basically in stimulus checks, $300 per week for 6 weeks for unemployment checks. I wonder if maybe he didn't do it again for an executive order for stimulus checks because simply they didn't have the money sitting around that they couldn't use. Now he could have did it with probably the disaster relief fund, but he chose to do it for the unemployment checks. And as you know, that probably gained him a bunch of votes, but we know now it wasn't enough. It only went out to unemployed people. Now, remember, that was $1,800. So maybe he could have done something like a $600 stimulus check for everybody, it definitely wouldn't have been as much as 1,800 because there would have been a lot more people qualifying for. So maybe $600, something like that. I'm not doing math here. I'm just estimating. I'm just taking a guess. But if he would have sent out a $600 stimulus check, that probably would have shored him up more votes. But he didn't do it. So he did do the unemployment executive order, and now we're going to likely see Biden do the student loan forgiveness executive order as well. However, this one's a lot bigger. Trump's was for $1,800 per person for unemployed people. Biden's looking at $10,000 or more for student loan forgiveness. There's currently about 45 million people in the United States with student loans. So that's around 15% of the country. So it's still going to be a significant amount. So I will keep you up to date with all the stimulus related items and breaking news. I have another video for you tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have bell notifications on, you won't get a notification for that video each day, only for the first 3 videos of the day. But don't forget, I do have an 11 p.m. Eastern Time video. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. You can get notifications by clicking the bell icon after subscribing to all notifications. Subscribing is completely free to do so. It just makes it so you can see the videos and not forget about them. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling physical products on the Amazon FBA program, where you can sell products on Amazon. And I've had dozens of people replace their 9-to-5 income. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.